link it back to strategic alignment, you know, how do CEOs, CMOs, and VPs, stuff like that, align not just the management but the whole company to follow in this suit and just like to ensure I wouldn't say the smoothest, but the most consistent change and the development when it comes to digital transformation from a strategic alignment perspective?
Yeah, it's a great question. It'll kind of help segue into some other topics we're going to cover today. And the reason why a proper digital transformation journey has both a strategic component and that tactical, very tactical level component is because, one, we always need to tie what we're trying to do to a set of clear business objectives. So many companies overemphasize the value of tools in and of themselves without thinking of all the things that go along with the tools. So for me, what differentiates whether technology is necessary or desirable, it really has to do with have you defined a set of use cases that you're trying to serve with that technology. So you're saying, like, how can I as a company align to changing customer expectations?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is, part of it is like either through partners in the industry that you work with, so consultants or, some agencies, are pretty skilled at this as well, but it's having that larger perspective. And some of it's anecdotal too. Get ready to deep dive into the world of digital transformation, where we explore the latest trends, innovations, and challenges shaking up industries. Join us as we decode the secrets behind successful digital strategies and hear from experts who are at the forefront of disrupting the status quo. In each episode, we'll unravel the mysteries of the digital realm and uncover the hidden opportunities that lie within. From artificial intelligence to blockchain, from automation to cybersecurity, we'll leave no digital stone unturned. But hold on tight, because this podcast isn't your average tech talk. We're injecting a hefty dose of wit and humor into every episode, making learning about digital transformation an absolute blast. So if you're ready to embrace the digital revolution with a smile on your face, tune in to the Digital Disruption Podcast and get ready to be entertained, informed, and inspired. Don't miss out on the fun. Subscribe now and join us on this wild digital journey.
Hello, bonjour, and good morning. Good morning, America. Hello, Patrick. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Dawood. How are you doing today?
I'm all good. In the last episode, we said, we joked about, CEOs and C-suite level people losing their seats. So, and we did leave on a cliffhanger, said, in the next episode, we're going to talk about the strategic alignment that you need within your company as someone who is in leadership, and not to leave anyone waiting, wondering if they're going to lose their seat or not. We are, in this episode, going to be addressing the whole strategic alignment shenanigans, everything when it comes to strategic alignment and how can you put, digital transformation into the work on a strategic level. So that's the meet and greet of this episode. And with that, I hand the mic to you.
Thanks, Dawood. Yeah, I mean, all kidding aside, any initiative that potentially touches as many parts of your organization as digital transformation might, it does require senior leadership to be not only on board, but at the forefront of helping to manage and sponsor that change. It doesn't have to necessarily be the CEO, though it's, typically it's crucial to have CEO at a minimum, sponsorship and sign off, but leadership as well. Oftentimes it could be, the CTO, CIO as well. But even so, really having that full alignment at senior leadership is really crucial. There's just so many different teams involved in digital transformation initiatives that it's really just getting strategic alignment up front, understanding really clearly what the objectives are, and just ensuring also organizational change of any kind is no trivial matter. It involves emotional intelligence, psychology, operations, HR, right? You have to have a lot of empathy, patience, and there's a lot of training involved, potential upskilling. And so you have to see it as an investment, and you have to kind of see it with the right amount of patience and empathy to if you really want to successfully see it through to the end, you have to account for the actual organizational change component of these kinds of projects, and having senior leadership at the helm is really important for that reason alone. I think you may be on mute.
Yep, I was on mute.
We're still drinking our first cup of coffee this morning, Daud.
It's still here. As I was saying, when it comes to strategic alignment, a CEO can I wouldn't say do so little, but a change that is sponsored by a CEO, like the strategic alignment from the management, needs to be translated into lower and lower level to ensure not just the strategic alignment on just one level of the organization, but the whole organization. So as as we link it back to strategic alignment, how do CEOs, CMOs, and VPs, stuff like that, align not just the management but the whole company to follow in this suit, and just to ensure I wouldn't say the smoothest, but the most consistent change and the development when it comes to digital transformation from a strategic alignment perspective?
Yeah, it's a great question. It'll kind of help segue into some other topics we're going to cover today, but yeah, it's not to say that CEOs don't do real work, but yeah, they're not going to be the ones executing the digital transformation, right? So it's going to be, actual delivery teams or operational teams, data teams, right? Those are the folks who are going to actually be implementing and executing this project. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Somehow we need to translate this vision and strategy into some, very practical, executable changes. And so we've all seen senior leadership, make horrible leadership decisions and just sort of kind of, like an emperor or a king, just, issue commands and this is what we're going to do, but no real plan or roadmap to get there. And of course, those initiatives almost inevitably fail. And we were joking last time about CEOs losing their seats. And those are the kinds of CEOs that tend to lose their seats quicker than others. This is why any large-scale enterprise change needs, it needs a clear strategy and roadmap and a process to successfully execute it. And that roadmap needs to include the stakeholders who are going to actually be executing this work, from sales, from marketing, from your business intelligence teams, your data infrastructure folks, your data scientists, right? Everybody needs to be on board with this and needs to understand what the actual deliverables are that support that larger strategy. And then it needs to be done in a methodical, a reasonable way that follows that plan and process. So,
which leads to, that question of why is the process needed, and I mean, how do you identify, quantify a process? How do you say? Because when it comes to digital transformation, as we all know, it has a lot of meanings, and for different people, it has a lot of different ways, and nothing is. I wouldn't say nothing is set stone, but yeah, nothing is set stone in digital transformation. But for everyone, they have their own needs. So
yes.
Why don't we talk about the process from our perspective, and how can it, how can you as a CMO or a VP help shape it to fit your organization, and the importance of following that process to a crisp, to just ace it one by one. So I guess that's one of the things that we should be aiming to discuss now.
Sure. No, that's great segue. Thank you. So the process that we align around when we're consulting enterprises on digital transformation is we start with an assessment. We touched on this a bit last time as well, but an assessment is crucial. Understanding where you stand today in terms of digital maturity. Again, tying it back to those 4 pillars we discussed of your technology infrastructure, your data infrastructure, your processes or ways of working, and then your people, your skills and your roles that you have available throughout your organization. That we're going to kind of come up with a scorecard out of that for each of those pillars, and overall, we're going to identify any gaps that we see in the through that assessment process, and we're going to help identify strategic priorities. Those strategic priorities, if we do our job right, they're going to be tied to 2 things. Your business objectives that you have helped us identify during the discovery and onboarding process. And this also ties back to no 2 digital transformation initiatives are alike. Maybe you've told us your focus is on increasing operational efficiency, marketing efficiency. Maybe that's your one key objective, right? So some of your gaps are likely going to be around process automation and various ways that you can kind of do more with less, right? do more with fewer resources, automate key processes across your organization. That may not be a priority for some people. So our assessment is going to align to those business objectives you've identified. The other gaps will be, based on our expertise and knowledge of the digital landscape. Are you at risk due to changes that have already come or are imminent? Are there new opportunities that you're not taking advantage of that could be beneficial to your organization? And is your sort of competitive set or the digital universe as a whole kind of leaving you in the dust in certain ways, so that you're no longer really meeting consumer expectations, whether that's directly in your competitive set or just not delivering the kinds of experiences that consumers and B2B prospects are expecting these days. So we're going to do that assessment, and then we're going to develop a set of recommendations at a strategic level. We're going to do additional sessions with your stakeholder groups, both in the form of surveys and live working sessions. we're going to then draft and present a digital transformation framework. Again, this is going to be at a strategic level, so identifying the kind of use cases, technologies, integrations, data that you need to be planning for in order to be successful against the objectives that we've identified. And then once that is kind of an agreed upon document, then we would go and create an actual transformation guidebook, which is essentially a roadmap. This is down in the tactical detail of here are specific technology projects, here are specific training and skill areas that you need to address and how. Here are the data needs and the data integration needs to support what you're trying to do. Here are the automation tactics, right? So the guidebook is going to be literally a prioritized short, medium, and long-term set of executable projects that will deliver on the objectives you're trying to achieve. So, and at that point, it becomes that execution phase. If the strategy and the guidebook have done their job, then all of those stakeholders who are going to be doing the actual delivery of this initiative, right? Not the CEO. Those teams should be well positioned because they've been participating all along in the design of this journey. They should be well positioned to know what needs to be executed, right, to deliver on that. And then, of course, this is never one and done. That everybody would love every execution of a project plan to be perfect and ideal. It's rarely the case. These kinds of journeys are almost always iterative in nature. You learn along the way, you make improvements, but you see other opportunities that come out of the new data you have available, the new experiences you're driving. So, once you are in that execution phase, it's more cyclical than linear, right? You're iterating and improving and learning. And that's kind of the soup to nuts process.
I guess because when you lay out the process like this, you kind of have this grand vision of a full digital transformation. But I mean, I do know it myself, but I definitely wanna pick your brain on it and just make it publicly, not publicly, but make it more mainstream. That what do you expect out of digital transformation whenever you sign up for a digital transformation process or a project that we're gonna digitally transform the business. I definitely know that it is not a big swoop that changes everything in one magical command, but I would definitely want you to shed some light on it and just give your experience and lean on that experience that you have and just pointing out that it's not just one and done. It's a incremental kind of changes that accumulate to achieve a much bigger process. But I definitely want to know
No, it's a really great point in insight. I mean, I would say in the digital world, hitting a home run is is much rarer than, if we want to use a sports analogy, than stringing together a series of base hits, right? That all add up to a kind of a much bigger set of benefits to the business, right? Versus a single home run that is, really disruptive and, changes everything immediately. That doesn't happen as often as a series of executable, well-planned, incremental gains in various areas of a business that all add up to, pretty substantial benefits. So in my experience, the latter is more characteristic of digital transformation than the former. Some just like you said, some swooping revolutionary change in a business. That's not often. I can remember when online travel was first emerging. I worked for a company, and in a meeting, CEO slammed his fist. I can't be the CEO of a company, with a 0.5% conversion rate. We need to double our conversion rate, and it's like, well, you clearly don't understand what it takes to double your conversion rate. Anyhow, that's not usually how digital transformation works. And the reason why a proper digital transformation journey has both a strategic component and that tactical, very tactical level component is because we always need to we always need to tie what we're trying to do to a set of clear business objectives. I used the example earlier of gaining efficiencies on, let's look at financial services. So maybe it's something that seems as trivial as processing applications for some financial product. And it requires, let's say, ingesting a form of government ID and various financial information. And that information needs to be ingested securely. And then that application needs to be processed. And maybe 75% of your applications could be automatically approved as long as that information is valid and authentic. And if today you are 100% manually reviewing all of those application documents, if you could automate that work stream and have just sort of straight through automated processing of the easy approvals, right, that would be a huge win. So unless you've identified efficiency and operational, kind of automation as a priority, maybe that wouldn't even make it into the roadmap, right? So you need to have a vision at the start of what you're trying to achieve with technology and digital transformation, and then you also need to translate that into detailed executable projects. And each of those, so that's where each of those components of the roadmap, to your point, in and of individually, they're not going to change your business metrics fundamentally, individually. They're going to change your business metrics incrementally. You're going to get a 2% improvement here. You're going to gain 5% efficiency there, right? If you include customer engagement platforms as part of your digital transformation, right? You're going to maybe you move the needle on the average lifetime value over a 3-year period of time for your new customer acquisitions. If you increase that by 5%, again, it's not going to revolutionize your business. It is going to change your business. If you can reduce churn rate by 5%, if you can improve, the 30-day repeat rate of your new customer acquisitions, that's going to make a big difference to revenue over time, right? So it's all of these little things that add up to big changes. But each individual change is not that great in magnitude.
That sounds, it sounds like that's exactly what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
With 20 plus years of experience behind it.
Yeah, that's what, in my experience, that's what really sets kind of innovative companies. And of course, there's companies that come up with totally disruptive changes that overnight, sometimes it's overnight a fad and sometimes it's overnight kind of revolutionizes something. But in either case, of course, those things do happen, but that's the exception rather than the rule. I think the companies that are sort of in it for the long haul and sort of have made it into the kind of, blue chip status, right? Tried and true companies, most of that has been won, by incremental and continuous improvement and innovation over time.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. Now, there was a question that popped up on my mind because in previous episodes we were saying that the overall the digital transformation is not about buying fancy shiny new tools.
Yes.
But when it comes to strategic alignment, when it comes to digital transformation, buying some tools might be necessary. So how
That's
can you
true.
differentiate between, the you have to do that or you have to get this and the pitfall of falling into ooh shiny, ooh shiny
Yes.
kind of mentality? How can
Yes.
you have some process or like validation process in place that says in order to achieve our goals we need this X tool but not these XYZ tools, we just need the X tool? So how can you control the data or like the tools that you need for strategic alignment?
Yeah, it's a really good question because yes, of course, like I tongue in cheek kind of like to diminish the need for new technology only because so many companies overemphasize the value of tools in and of themselves without thinking of all the things that go along with the tools. So for me, what differentiates whether technology is necessary or desirable, it really has to do with have you defined a set of use cases that you're trying to serve with that technology? Have you done the work of assessing, does your current technology stack already give you the ability to accomplish that objective? If it doesn't, then there's a good case that maybe you do need a new piece of technology. But then have you also considered, do you have the skills in-house to utilize that tool? If not, do you have an agency or a vendor lined up or a freelancer or somebody, or do you have a plan in place to train and train your team and onboard that tool effectively, right? If it's a tool that relies on data infrastructure, do you have the data infrastructure in place that will allow you to utilize that tool? And this kind of goes back to another topic we talked about a couple episodes ago, which is you sometimes have to get the foundational elements right. Data quality management, data infrastructure. Is your first-party data centralized and orchestrated in a way it can be used by the other components of your technology stack? So for me, the sort of do I need a piece of technology or not? It comes down to, do you have a identified need with specific use cases, and do you have the chops, the skills on your team or on your partner roster to utilize that tool effectively and integrate that tool effectively? Does that answer your question?
Yep, it does.
Oh, yeah.
Which What?
Oh no, absolutely. There are times when when new tools are needed. Absolutely. If you don't have a hammer and you need a hammer, go buy a hammer.
It definitely does. And bringing up first party data did remind me of another question that I wouldn't say we addressed in a previous question, but in a previous episode, but we definitely talked about when we talked about the personalization and stuff like Amazon and Netflix. So I think the last question that we're gonna be ending this episode on is, how can an organization, align? How can I say align the align? How can an organization align customer expectations through strategic alignment? I'm not sure if that makes sense. It makes sense in my head.
So you're saying, like, how can I, as a company, align to changing customer expectations?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is, part of it is like either through partners in the industry that you work with, so consultants or, some agencies, are pretty skilled at this as well. But it's having that larger perspective. And some of it's anecdotal too, common sense, right? If you get 10 people in your company to sit around the table, you kind of you kind of know where the internet is at, right, in terms of the experiences that are being delivered to consumers. But one way or another, you have to generate an awareness and a perspective that is not narcissistically focused on your own company, right? And what you think is so great about your products and services, with sort of blinders on to the rest of the world around you, and not just your competitors, but really the digital landscape as a whole, because that does set people's expectations, whether you like it or not. And you can set yourself apart, or you can fall behind, depending on how you take those into account. So strategic alignment, to my mind, right, I said one of the things we do in our assessment, right, is we identify gaps both against your own stated objectives, but also gaps and opportunities within that larger digital landscape. And I think that's crucial to kind of have that awareness of what's going on around you at all times, right? So,
all right. In continuation to a trend that we've started on this podcast, we usually give a little piece of the next episode on the end of the previous episode. And since we are on like the end of this episode, I think just briefly I will ask this, and we'll address it in much more details, but it ties into strategic alignment. Because why am I trying to do a strategic alignment? Because I want to see the ROI at the end of the tunnel. And digital transformation, I wouldn't say it is the easiest thing to calculate ROI based on. Like, you can't really open a dashboard and say, oh, this is, digital transformation has landed us 40% more ROI. So, just give me your thoughts without destroying the next episode. But give me your thoughts on that part, and let's end on it.
Yeah, digital transformation is expensive, dude. Whew. Especially, if you go request a proposal from one of the big consulting holdcos and see what the price tag looks like. So yeah, expensive. So yeah, how are you going to get a return on that investment? And it is possible too. So next time we'll kind of dig into how you can look at and estimate and predict return on investment for digital transformation initiatives. And teaser, it all ties back to the strategic vision and the roadmap.
If you got them right, you'll see ROI. If you don't, it will blow up in your face. It's as simple as that.
Indeed. And the more expensive the initiative, the more it will blow up in your face if you fail.
Yeah, I mean, in next episode also, I think that this in particular, because ROI and digital transformation are not, they require some expertise behind them to figure out the ROI on the digital transformation. And when you don't do it right, you won't see ROI. But I would also tease the sunken cost fallacy. I'm pretty sure you know the sunken cost fallacy. It's one more tool, one more step, one more thing, and we will see ROI. How do you prevent yourself from falling into this pitfall and falling into this trap that one more thing will show me ROI? And how can you tie it all into deliverables, milestones, and stuff that you can actually measure and then base your ROI on? So this will be in the next episode, unfortunately, guys. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining me, Jacek. It was a blast today, and we'll see you definitely next week.
Cheers for now. Thanks, Daoud.
Bye.
Bye. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Digital Disruption Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of digital transformation and gained valuable insights to help navigate the ever-changing landscape. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach us on our website, e-CENS.com, or connect with us on social media. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and stay tuned for more exciting discussions on the forefront of digital innovation. Remember, the future is now, and it's time to embrace the power of transformation. Thanks for listening, and until next time.